Hello, Savannah. Hello, Savannah. Welcome to another edition of Kandily Kesha. I'm so pleased to be with you again on this Monday night. It has been an extremely busy October. We are now at November 1st, just a few months before a new year. And we are praying that each of you will make it on over. We know that many people have experienced lots of loss as of late, and we send out our prayers on your behalf. We have also lost many lives due to gun violence and street crime in our community. Far too much. We are so happy that a group in the form of a Savannah Recreational Coalition has rose up to respond to the call of doing something in our community. You know, nothing much starts or stops in our community without citizen engagement, without a collective voice. We are governed by a local government where it takes 5 votes to move something forward. That means approve it, or to move it back. That means to deny it. And in our administration, we have a handful of progressive and aggressive people who have essentially been strapped from putting forth items on the agenda that, if they saw the light of day, would not be voted down in the public's eye. And so, with that said, what we have been doing is campaigning to ask groups, organizations, and individuals who care about this community, who care about an issue that will make our community a better place to live, whether it's issues related to our environment, issues related to our drainage and roads, infrastructure, whether it's issues related to crime, poverty, and blight in our community. We want you to mobilize, we want you to engage, and we want you to get involved. Most of all, we want you to use your voice, and we want you to use your power, because that's where your vote is. You voted in November. You voted in December to send a group of individuals into office who are supposed to have your back, who are supposed to carry your message, not the water for the establishment, not carry the special interests and the agendas of those who are takers, but to have the voice in the back of the community. And so the best way to do that is to challenge us publicly. This organization have put forth this recreational program. This is a group of local coaches who have mobilized and are saying, we want to continue to do what it is that we do, except for we want to now do it on a larger scale. And we can't do it on a larger scale without the resources of the city of Savannah. Each year, we allocate millions of dollars to our recreational department, and very few of those dollars find its way in our neighborhoods and in our communities, particularly those neighborhoods and communities that are most vulnerable. And so these coaches have put together a very progressive and aggressive approach whereby they are working to eradicate crime, gun violence, particularly among our youth, within 3 to 5 years. There is nothing this administration that I currently serve in, unfortunately, there is nothing that we have proposed, there is nothing that we have put forth that is as aggressive and looks as good as this project and program. To date, they have only heard from 3 council representatives to support this initiative. So we want you, our local public, citizens of Savannah, who care about crime, who care about the issues in this community, we want you to now mobilize and send an email to each of us asking us to support those efforts. Send an email to our city manager asking him to support the effort. Send an email to your mayor asking him to support these efforts. You see, it is only via your collective voice that we will make a difference in this community. You may say, well, I do not engage in activity that brings me close to the criminal element. I live in a community that is not plagued by the type of crime I hear about on the streets of Savannah. Well, you should know that we live in a community where we are all in close proximity to each other. We are not many degrees separated. What happens to your neighbor, whether it's in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth district, whether it's on the east side, west side, south side, or downtown, it matters to you. You today, it could be me tomorrow. It is in my best interest, not only for the safety of myself and my family, but it is my best interest as a human being, as a person who care about others, as a person who care about community. It is in my best interest to use every resource, every ounce of my power and authority in this position to advocate, to leverage resources to support these kinds of efforts. So I have weighed in. And I have acknowledged that I believe in this effort of these recreational opportunities that these coaches have put forth. I believe in it because there are proven data and statistics across the country that shows communities with strong outreach via recreation in their communities do not face as many challenges as we have faced here in Savannah. We have to stop talking about who's not doing what, focusing on those minor things while our focus is taken off of the major thing. We have to now direct our attention to becoming results oriented, to actually doing something that will and can make a difference in our communities. So with that said, we now want to move to an issue I have been so moved by. Probably one of the most important issues I have faced since I've been in office, outside of COVID, outside of gun violence. I would say it's up there. And this week is really up there. For the remainder of this month, I am pledging to the residents of StillHell that it will be up there. This issue will be up there. Every opportunity I get, I will be talking about the atrocities of StillHell towers. Yes, I will be acknowledging the lack of compassion, the deplorable conditions. I will be carrying the voice of the people who have been threatened to lose residency because of their outcry. I will be speaking loudly, I will be speaking clearly, and I will be speaking very candidly about the awful leadership of Earlene Davis. And I can say that based on not what somebody told me over the last week as a result of the fire, not what somebody said who lived within the corridors of StillHell Towers and other housing developments in our city, not what they've recently shared with me, not because of the mold, not because of the fact that you have elderly people living in a high-rise building who can't access the stairwell, even if there was a fire, or even if the elevator did work, they wouldn't be able to get out because they can't walk. And who in their right mind would think that it's okay over time to allow residency of these individuals who have these deficiencies? And yes, we know there is a housing crisis in Savannah. This probably is the most underserved demographic, our elderly, our seniors. But you know what? In StillHell, not only do you have elders, not only do you have seniors, you have individuals who have untreated mental health diagnoses or issues. Then you have people who have mental diagnoses. We also have others in the building. And so it's okay for us to commune and all live in harmony if you have services on site that are going to directly speak to the issues related to your residents, so that you're not experiencing an onset of increased calls to the fire department, increased calls to the police department. Yes, back to Earlene Davis. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to speak candidly about you and the lack of leadership you have shown in this city in excess of 20 years. You know why I can say this? Quite frankly, why I can say it? I can say it because I've experienced you. I've experienced you and your lack of compassion. I never knew the day would come that I would be in this seat and experience you on that side. As the executive director of a local shelter program that I ran very effectively with an enormous amount of compassion for over 20 years, for over 10 years. I did that work relying on the Housing Authority of Savannah, you see, because even 20 years ago, during my stint at Interfaith Hospitality Network, now Family Promise, there were issues with housing and the lack of affordable housing in our community. There were issues moving people from a place of homelessness into self-sufficiency via transitional housing or permanent housing. Very rarely did any of those permanent housing solutions come via Earlene Davis at the Housing Authority. It was only because of one person at the Housing Authority who had compassion, who demonstrated what families and their children should receive when they're in these situations. And that was Dr. Amir Toure. We know him as Jamal. He worked at the Housing Authority, and I often would have to backdoor all of the red tape to get him to support families. How bad was it, you ask? I'll tell you how bad it was. I have 10 fingers, bless God, and 10 toes. And I can count on mine and yours the number of people I had to assist moving out of Housing Authority properties because they were being evicted. She said they've never evicted anybody, but I don't know why somebody would leave if they were not being evicted and didn't have a place to go to and they were coming into a homeless shelter program. Now, I work for one of the creme de la creme homeless service providers where you couldn't have any criminal history. You couldn't have any issues related to untreated mental health issues, and a child had to be a part of the family unit. So what problem could this person have possibly had? Maybe not paying their bills? What other kind of violations you get at homeless authority, in the Housing Authority, where you would lose residency? Y'all put some information in the chat for me. Let me know. I know there were dozens of reasons why people were getting put out, but it was not fair that we create these spaces and places where it's not fair that we create these spaces and places where we say it's to provide remedy. We say it's to provide relief for people. It's a public service. It's paid for by our tax dollars. We invite individuals in who are able, and we invite individuals in with various levels of capacity as it relates to maintaining a job, as it relates to their physical health, their mental health, their capacity to parent. We create these spaces and places via governmental dollars under the guise of doing the right thing, only to get people in, and we realize that, oh, they're not up to snuff, or they're not following our rules. And so we're often throwing the babies out with the bathwater because the parents have an issue, not giving regard to the exceptional opportunities we have in Savannah, Georgia, with our vast resources, our rich opportunities consistent with our faith communities who are always on the front lines of giving and helping. I would be remiss if I did not mention all of the local charities and nonprofit organizations that are out there who are helping and who are providing assistance whenever it's needed. Why, in Miss Earlene Davis's infinite wisdom, can't she somehow come down off of her high horse and recognize that she needs help and that help is available? In the case of the young man, the senior on the 12th floor of StillHell, who was rescued from the floor because he was sleeping on an air mattress, it is just a blessing he was rescued, because if he had turned the wrong way, he would have drowned in the water that was filling the apartment from the sprinkler system. Yeah, drowned because he can't walk without the walker. He couldn't get to the walker. So his neighbor pulled him out. EMS didn't pull him out. Our fire department didn't pull him out. Another resident pulled him out. I don't know why. I don't know if they couldn't make their way up or whatever. But again, somebody tell me, because in my mind, I'm just thinking about this out loud. Somebody tell me, if you have a high-rise building and you have people who are immobile or partially immobile, meaning they're in a wheelchair or on a walker, and you put them on floors beyond floor 1, something happens, elevators go out, or a fire starts. They can't get out. How do they get out? If a fire breaks out, I won't get on the elevator and I can walk. You won't get on the elevator because they tell you in a fire, don't use the elevator. That's why you have a fire stairwell. Right? So how are we allowing this in Savannah, Georgia? So this issue with StillHell basically is like COVID. The pandemic is to Savannah, right? COVID basically just exposed our pre-existing vulnerabilities. The pandemic just showed us just how much we need, just how much we don't have in Savannah, right? And that we had a situation where people were not able to miss 1 or 2 paychecks and pay their bills. We had a situation where people were having to make decisions on whether to go to work or keep childcare. Food insecurities, right? So with this fire at StillHell, this basically is an expose. It's an expose of sorts, in that we now know basically what a lot of people over the last week, from what I could see, I thought things had got better from over 20 years ago, but I guess not. But from what I have been getting, and I've been fielding phone calls and getting pictures, and I'll post some of the pictures on my Facebook page later on, in videos that I've received from people who've had issues ranging from mold to sexual assaults to the elevator's not working. I think that's like the common theme. If you ask anybody, even if you go downtown and ask one of the tourists, which building don't elevators work in Savannah? They'll say StillHell Towers. That's just how commonly known it is, right? And so I was also told that there was an attempt to fix the elevators, but there were no elevator companies willing to give a bid for a total rehaul. Instead, they wanted to repair it. Well, guess what? If you put out an RFP, request for proposal or request for a job, and you send it out to various vendors for a new install, and you say this amount for this request is $5 for work that costs $50,000, you'll be lucky if you get a response. So don't tell me that crap. You have not tried. What you have done is not working. And you have the audacity to threaten people, Earlene Davis, who reach out for help, who cry foul to your foolishness. You have the audacity to try to cast dispersion and throw shade on people who actually are calling this foolishness out and wanting to do something about it. So it's my city manager's job to play nice with you, not mine. It's not my job to play nice with you. You know why? Because I have to feel the calls of people calling me having an anxiety attack on the other line. Because I'm in this position, they think I can do something about it. You and that makeshift board you and Van Johnson put together, you better do something about it. And if you want to shut me up, take care of those people. I am sick and tired of this classist, elitist city and her foolishness. And you want to serve on a real task force about racial equity. How inequitable is that treatment over at StillHell filled with Black senior citizens? Racial equity, real? Really, Earlene? Let me tell you people something. When you sent me to City Hall, you sent me into a cesspool. You sent me to a gunfight with a butter knife. And I'm about tired of it. The madness and the messiness of the media. You want to put my face and my name in your 48, 72-hour news cycles. You want to lead with Keisha Gibson Carter for cursing, which words you never heard, by the way. It was never substantiated. You just went by what somebody said to you, what some liars said to you. I never cursed anyone. But you lead with that. You take this city on a 30-day whim of the foolishness under the gold dome at City Hall because of some curse words. I'm talking to you, WSAV, WTOC, WJCL, WTGS, Savannah Morning Messy News. I'm talking to all of you right now. It's because of you. It's partially because of you that this city is in the condition that she's in. Because as opposed to holding the powerful accountable, you get in bed with them. You sensationalize the most minimal news in this town. And you highlight the most marginalized people and you make them heroes. You want to go to Facebook and post SCAD taking over box lunches and feeding people sandwiches? That's novel. That's novel. But I dare you, SCAD, to provide as many units as you did box lunches, because that's what the people really need. I'm gloves off. I'm not playing with you people anymore. You disgust me. It's nauseating to know how you are taking advantage of Savannians. And nobody's asking for a handout. Nobody's asking for subsidies. Nobody's asking for welfare. Nobody even knows what welfare is anymore. You know why? Because most people are of the working class. They're of the working class working below wage jobs in this city where they cannot afford rent. And it's not just happening to Black people. White people can't afford to live here either. It's the elite of Savannah, both Black and white, who are causing this plight. And if you don't do anything about it, I promise you, I will continue to take to the airways and call out the foolishness. We will mobilize our community and we will press beyond this administration. We will press beyond this community. We will press beyond this state until somebody listens to these people. And if you staffers who are in cahoots with Earlene Davis, if you threaten these citizens, and if you force them out of their places to stay because they are making outcry, shame on you. And if I find out you are, you're going to get called out too. And I can name some names tonight. You better be sitting on the edge of your seat right now, because by the end of this show, I just might call them out. Now do better. Treat people the way you would want somebody to treat your grandmother. Yes, they get on your nerves. They're sickening. It's the public. It's what you get paid for. Stay, if you don't want to do it, don't collect the paycheck. And for you staffers who have reached out to me, for those of you who are concerned and who attest to the fact that she's an evil leader, and it's no wonder she treats the people the way they do because she doesn't treat you any better. God bless you. And you just hold on because you might outlast her. I'm not surprised at all by your behavior, Earlene Davis, because after all, this type of behavior is consistent with the mentality of a woman, of a Black woman who would desecrate the Weeping Time property. Shame on you. Shame on you. And the next time you come to a city council meeting, we don't have amen corners. There is nothing to worship under that gold dome. So you just sit there and shut your mouth. Julius Hall.
Good evening, good sister. Can you
Hello,
hear me?
sir. Hello.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Glad to join you tonight. And
Listen, I know you are working on some things behind the scenes that will soon go public, and I will be happy to use my platform to share what you and others are working on. I think you are doing a combined effort with Better Savannah, and I want to make mention of John McMasters and Chuck Fagan, who are, like you, our unsung community activists who undergird this community in trying to frame the narrative and keep her honest. But this one, sir, I hope you, like me, y'all like me, will not be dropping this issue. I need every one of your platforms to be mentioning this because people are relying on us to help them. And the Housing Authority of Savannah has its own governing body. And for years, up until just a few months ago, that governing body only consists of 3 board members. Can you imagine that? The entire Housing Authority board governed by 3 board members. Now, when I was the director at the Rape Crisis Center, I had 21, and my budget bailed in comparison to that one. When I was at Family Promise Interfaith Hospitality Network, I had like 12.
no, it's
What
like that for
housing
a
authority?
reason. It's like
Right.
that for a reason so she can have control. And we've been looking at that for a while. And you're absolutely correct. We are going to be doing some uh, in-depth uh, looks at what's going on with the housing authority. It seems like they're trying to gentrify undercover. It's an undercover type gentrification that they're doing. They're part of what's going on in the city to take over. It's not just Stillwater Towers is probably their next project, and we haven't been looking at it. You probably have, but we haven't because it's not been on our radar. And Stillwater Towers, that's prime property for Memorial Hospital. They can tear that building down and do a whole lot with it or redo it. It's a lot that we need to be looking at. There's some backdoor, undercover gentrification that's going on, and we're going to be looking at it and bringing it to the people uncut, raw, and unfiltered. And we're going to tell you what we see and what we find.
And you know, we would not be here tonight having this conversation if the governing authority or if the leadership at the Housing Authority wasn't consistently deficient as of late. We start back from last year with the Weeping Time property. A lot of people do not know that Earlene Davis had her hand in that, and that she was the individual who basically signed off on selling the property to the Salvation Army. Amidst also doing this under the property value dropping so low that you sold a property for almost half of what it was actually worth the year prior, failing to give anyone who actually lived in the community an opportunity at the property. They lied and said that the property was not owned by the city of Savannah, but we did have a say in it. We learned that after everything came out, just like they lied when they said that they were going to send the report off to an entity at the state to decide if the property was in fact the Weeping Time property. The report and everything that came back was nothing remotely close to identifying whether or not it was the property or not. We just hid behind the smoke screens. Then, in tandem to that, more nefarious behavior came in that caused the project to be even more questionable was when the mayor unilaterally identified, selected, and appointed 2 more members to the board of the Housing Authority. One, I may add, who worked his campaign, his political campaign. And so now you have a board of friends helping friends do awful things and failing the community. I want to say to those board members of the Housing Authority of Savannah, you too should be ashamed. If you're not holding her to the fire, if none of you have spoken up and spoken out and you're relying on her voice and her face, wrong answer. Nobody wants to hear from Erling Davis. Nobody wants to hear anything she has to say at all. What we want is an opportunity to hear from a governing authority as to what it is you intend to do to rectify the situation with StillHell Towers and to make these people more comfortable. Clearly, they have put themselves in a situation where they now have to crawl backwards and out of it.
Well, what we see is that, and I don't know why her fingerprints are all over all of this. We got the Weeping Time, we got Yamacraw, we got the StillHell Towers. We're gonna have Kate Home and Frazier Home after a while. Just watch. It's in the works. They're letting that place go down just like all the rest of them go down and into unrepairable conditions so that they can close them down, tear them down, then leave them vacant for a little while, and leave the lots vacant. Then they'll sell it because they say they don't have the money to rebuild it. It's all a plan. It's a diabolical plan, and a lot of people are in on this. I don't know who, but we're going to see who it is after a while. All you got to do is follow the money. You follow the money, see who buying these properties, and see what they're building, and it'll all lead back to one person or to a group of people. And we're going to
I get that. I got it. I hear it, but I'm so tired of it. Mm-hmm. I am so tired of just sitting back and watching what they do. And then my thing is, who is they? We become so conditioned in our culture that we let they get away with everything.
Everything. They is the establishment. And we know that they are those business leaders, those big contractors, those millionaires who run everything. And, I guess what needs to be called for is an investigation into this, because if there are federal laws that are being broken, and if anything is illegal that's being done, it needs to be brought to the feds' attention, because something underhanded is happening here. Something very, very dirty is happening here. And it's in our face, but it seems like we're the only ones that are voicing it. We need everybody to understand that we're not in this by ourselves. We all are players in this game, and everybody got to get in the game.
You are absolutely correct. And that's the one thing that gives me hope, but it makes me feel hopeless all at the same time. Mm-hmm. That the optics are on, people are paying attention, but we need help. We need help. Right now, as a Post 1 representative for the entire city of Savannah, we are strapped with not having administrative support, individuals to do the research and to drill down into the weeds of trying to connect these dots and make these things happen. We are often left with calling on our state representatives, which is why this race is so important. We have state House Representatives 165 on the ballot right now. So if you didn't do early voting, we're hoping that each of you will go out in your respective districts and vote tomorrow. But we are also left with just pleas, making pleas for help. And it gives me great joy when I make these pleas for help, because people start looking at you and talking to you like, I can really do something about this. I can really make a difference. And I'm like, yes, you have the power. And so that's the one thing that has inspired me so much with this work, is that my arrival now demonstrates that this is not a place that's unreachable. Citizens, you own me. You own every single person in their prospective places. You own the mayor. You own City Hall. That is your house. You can walk into the Gold Dome any day you want.
But Alderwoman, what they play on is that the fact that the people don't understand what you just said. What they play on is the fact that they know that our attention span, the people's attention span, is very short. We have to, you're calling everybody to arms. You're asking everybody to join on and let's get this done. The thing is, they're not willing to do it. You can get all this done by having the ministers get their congregation behind them.
Yes.
All this, you can bypass
Yes.
all the acting and just get the
Yes.
ministers. But the
Yes.
ministers are almost all afraid. All they care mostly about the check that they're getting on Sundays, or the monthly check that they're getting. The mayor has created all these ad hoc campaign committees where he's putting his friends on these free task force and these campaign committees. These ad hoc campaign committees that he's making on the side. See, these people will support him later on. They don't have anything coming. They're not making any money. They're just glad that the mayor appointed them to it. That's all it is. And see, so now they're indebted to him. In their mind, they're indebted to him for putting them on a damn worthless committee. We didn't need a study to find out what Otis Johnson them just told us the other day. We already know this. Yeah, you did a study for. You just spent all this money, wasted all this time, and you already knew it. Otis Johnson been knew it 15 years ago. He been knew it. So he could have just put it on paper and gave it to the man, and he brought it to the council, and y'all worked on it, and y'all could have had workshops on it and get it done. But we're wasting all this time so he could say that they did something.
Right.
Okay, they got the report. Now let's see what happens. They'll say that they need another term to work on it. Please.
Well, that's the thing. And in all fairness to the people who work on these task force that he's selected, because I don't see them as being as malicious as he is, right? I think people are coming to the table with good intentions.
Oh, of course.
They are doing what we asked them to do, and that's to engage. But what they haven't yet, some have, I must say, some have, but a lot of them have not realized they are being manipulated, right?
Correct.
And used. And so where the pastors are, in fairness to them, from where I'm sitting and what I see and what I know about the ones that I do have a relationship with, I feel like they are coming from a place or perspective where, you know how we say, y'all can't ever get along, right? So they don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to send the bad news. They don't want to be, because at the end of the day, the other thing is everybody wants to be a part of a winning team. Everybody wants to be a part of a winning team at the end of the day. And when there is discovery that your team is no longer winning, I mean, that was a hard loss for the Braves last night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was.
But it's going to be very difficult to keep people from chopping. You see? It'll be very difficult because of loyalty, because of hope, and because of faith. People put their faith in other people, because they themselves do not have the ability to do what needs to be done. So they trust this one individual to take care of things. And God forbid, it's just like us with our children, right? We put a lot of hope, a lot of faith, a lot of concern and care in our children. And by God, look, boy, you did what? Girl, you
Well,
did what? But what do? We still love them through it. And so I think that's what we're going through right now with the leader of our administration. We're going through that. I'm going to love you through this. But I'm telling you, the chickens are going to come home to roost. People are going to get tired of this because the same people who are facing blight, the same people who are burying their children, the same people who cannot pay their bills, the same people who are unemployed and facing all kinds of deficiencies in our community are the same congregants who are in these churches. And so when those people start to go to their pastors, go to their missions outreach committee and make outcry for services that they need, they'll get a clue. Hopefully, I don't know. What do you think?
well, we're gonna have to hope and pray on that, because what we have now is a whole city full of cowardice pastors, and I'm not afraid to say that. It only applies to those that it applied to. I had a conversation with a pastor today at lunch, and I was telling him, when I'm talking, you do know. He said, "Yeah, I know you're not talking about me." I'm not. It's 20, 30 of them out there that's doing what they're supposed to do.
Yes, there
Um,
are.
but it's 700 of them that are not. 700 now. This ain't no exaggeration. 700 of y'all out there are not doing what you're supposed to do. You are called to care for God's people, not care for yourself, not care for one man. You're called. If you are called, you have an obligation and a responsibility to do what is right.
Well,
And that's
let's test it right now. Let's test it right now. I think we have more pastors who are trying than who are not. I think we just have a few of them who have been snowed and who've gone too far down the road with who to where they can't turn back. So
I
here's what
have
we're gonna do.
I have to disagree. I have to disagree. I think there are too many, and I wasn't even. Listen, I think it's 700 that need to step up to the plate. You are called to do a job, do it. Stop worrying about what's being took up on Sunday in the offering. You got a job to do. God appointed you to the job. Do the darn job.
Right.
You got
Well,
to speak
listen.
out. You got to step forward. You got to bring the congregation with you. You can't, we can't give these people no passes. We give them passes when they are not supposed to get passes. They have more of an obligation than you do.
Well, definitely, because they're called by God. That's for sure. Well, so listen. How about this? Let's put a challenge out there so that I'm not proven wrong, because I seem to think that there are more pastors who care and want to get involved and want to help than not. So why don't we make a challenge right now of our local pastors, both black, white, and different. The doors of the church are open. Stillwell Towers needs you. The Housing Authority of Savannah needs you. We needed you when we were trying to fight to preserve and save the Weeping Time land. We needed you then. And we're so grateful to Pastor Leonard Small, and we're still wishing him Godspeed. He's getting stronger every day, thank God. Um, we don't need people to do what other people do. And so, Brother Hall, we do have, listen to me getting churchy, Brother Hall. We do have the Nehemiah group, right? It's a group of local pastors who nobody's talking about, but this group of pastors are from every demographic, every background. It's an ecumenical mix of faith leaders who have come together, and they are making demands of the city of Savannah where housing is concerned. And so I want to call on the Nehemiah Project, Reverend Asia Pitts, Reverend Stephen Williams. We want to call on you and other pastors outside of the Nehemiah Project, the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance, the Methodist Coalition of Ministers, the AMEs. I'm calling on you all. I'm asking you for help. I can't do this by myself. Now, I didn't make very many campaign pledges, but I made some. One of the asks I did make was that if you sent me to City Hall, I'm probably recorded at least 2 dozen times. Mr. Hall, you were there most of the time. What did I say? When you send me to City Hall, come with me.
That's right.
Come with me. And I didn't realize what I was saying then. I didn't, I wasn't saying it was because it was something cute, just like my tagline of not being for sale, not for sale. I didn't create that because that was cute. It wasn't even me who created it. It was these things that just popped into my spirit, in my head, and came out of my mouth. Come with me. Let's save.
But you know, all the
StillHell.
women, if these pastors would just, when they go to church on Sunday, and they just take the congregation and walk outside, most of them are already outside. You're already outside. So look around. Stop being blind to everything around you. Look around you, Pastor. Just look around you. Because most of your churches are in areas that are underserved. So look around you and see what you can do in your own community. And if you don't think that you need to do nothing where your church is, then okay. But look around you and just look 4 blocks in each direction. These people need to wake up and say they need to be involved. They need to get off their butts and do something. Everybody loves to hear a good church sermon. But I'd rather see my pastor in the street showing me that he has a heart, that he has compassion. That's what Jesus called him to do. And we can't keep giving everybody a break. There's too many people getting breaks now. We're getting sold out by just a few people. And these few people are brainwashing all the rest of them to believe that they're doing something. They're not. They're not. We need y'all to step up and be in the fight with us. We can't fight this battle by ourselves. Go ahead. I'm sorry if I'm taking over your show. Go ahead, girl.
No. Thank you for that. And I hope your voice is being heard. And I would imagine your passion is at the same place mine is tonight. It's not so much anger as it is frustration and hurt. The morning, the wee hours of the morning when I was at StillHell, after the fire, it occurred at 4:00 a.m. in the morning. And I think this was a previously reported issue that this man had with this unit that caught fire or exploded. As I departed, I looked into the eyes of this one woman, and she said, "You gotta help me. I gotta get out of here." And she mouthed it to me because staff was around. So she was whispering. I will never forget the looks in that lady's eyes and the fear that I saw on her face. That's where my frustration is stemming from tonight, coupled with the fact that I realized as I was approaching this interview today that I've dealt with this woman before. Her same behavior that existed way back then. And then to know that it was her with the weeping time and now this. Nothing concedes power without a demand. You don't achieve much by way of rights, civil rights in particular, or rights for people without force. They don't understand when you come and play nice in the sandbox. They can't take me when I sit at the table and make my subjects and verbs agree, dot I's and cross T's. You can dress the part and look the part, and they will look over you and look through you. So sometimes it takes this Harriet Tubman spirit. Sometimes it takes a Fannie Lou spirit. Sometimes it takes the resistance of a Rosa Parks spirit, a MLK spirit, a Marcus Garvey, for us to get what we need. And the irony of this is, it's not for me. It's for somebody else. So what part of ED doesn't she recognize somebody, it's not about you. It's not about your pension. It's not about the comforts of your home and the comfortability in your company car. That's not what it's about. It's about these people. How can you even cash your paycheck? Have it directly deposited into your account.
Rebecca make a good point there, doesn't she? It looks like we're the only oversight task force.
I can't stand that word task force. I'm telling you right now. Oh my God. Jesus.
You know, it's crazy. You know, and this goes to everybody who's out there watching now. We need you to share. We need you to make sure that this platform stays viable,
Right.
because we're going to bring it to you. This is our way of communicating with the public. Better Savannah and ATR, we're doing all we can do to get things right in this community. But
And you know
if you're
what?
not going to join us now, we do need you to join us when it comes time to hit these streets. We do need you to join us when it comes time to raise money to put the right people in office, to recruit people who have a heart and a passion and a determination to change things, not people who are scared as hell and don't want to do what is right
But you know
to
what,
make the
Mr.
change.
Hall, to that point, you had a slate of people you put in office. I mean, so who's to say? And that's the thing. We keep asking voters, and I know the answer to this. I just need you to say it out loud. We keep asking voters, we keep asking people to go to the polls and vote. We keep talking about Black Lives Matter, Black Votes Matter. We keep talking about all of this, and then Black people go vote, and they vote for Black people, and then this is what you get. So
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Why should a person go vote? Why should they go vote? Write it in the chat. Tell me, people. Why should we continue to ask you to vote when this is what you get? Mr. Hall, you are a political guru. Tell me the answer to that question. Tell our citizens the answer to that question, sir.
Well, we're going to have them sign something where we can sue them or something, because we should be able to sue Dietrich, Linda, and Purdy. We should be able to sue them because they broke promises to us. Each one, Linda didn't make as big a promise, but she has a whole catalog of film saying what she was going to do when she got there. A whole catalog of film, a video where she talked about the people doing things that were detrimental to the people that she wanted to go and advocate for. Now she's there doing the same thing what those people did that she talked about. So we ought to be able to sue them. I don't know whether we're going to have to get a contract. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to have to vet them more closely. They're going to have to come. So we got to form some kind of board or something. I don't know, because we got to make sure that they do what they say they're going to do. We should not have a mayor that's scared to do what is necessary to uplift the people. Think about it. They forgot that it was slavery. They forgot that we the only people on this earth never got reparations because we don't stick together. They know that we're going to complain about it one day and just forget about it the week later.
One female on our council said we just need to get over slavery. We just need to get over that.
She a slave. She's the head slave.
Listen, so that's what we are going to do. We're going to ask people that, despite how politicians behave once they get into office, people should still vote. They should still exercise their civic right. But my answer to that question is accountability. When you vote somebody into office and they're not doing what they stated they were going to do, or they are not practicing the principles and enacting policy and legislation that's consistent with moving the needle away from status quo politics, you have the right to hold them accountable. You have the right to challenge your local government and not tell us or ask us for what you want, but tell us what it is that you want. Okay, that's what we want you to do. And there is power in numbers. So we want groups to mobilize. We want pastors to mobilize. We want organizations to mobilize. And we want you to take your rightful place in government. And a lot of people pick on the city of Savannah and the alder people connected to her because we are the most sensational, right? But you do also have a county government who meets almost every Friday after we meet, right? You also have state representatives in this city. So you need to start engaging your county commissioners as well as your city alder people and your state representatives and your state senators. Have them weigh in on your issues as well. I want to read some of the comments here. And I want to.
I want you to pay attention to this one right here, real quick before you go.
What's that?
Bernard Brown said, "We're always fighting for rights, for our well-being, fighting for people to treat the black people right. When is enough enough?" And if you notice, why are we always the only ones fighting for rights?
That's a great point, Bernard. Very good point. We are the only ones always fighting for something. That should tell you something right there.
Right. No, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I want to also just make mention that there's been a little bit of maneuvering. I don't trust it, but we are finally about to approach the whole notion of term limits on our council. The mayor has been very sneaky and is like limiting the number of people who can actually participate in this. But I want to hear from you. It may be after this live interview. If you are listening to me, if it's recorded or if you're listening to me now, I want you, our citizens, to weigh in on your thoughts related to term limits, because I want my position and my vote and my actions to be consistent with what the citizens of Savannah want. I personally think people should be term limited. I don't think you should have a lifelong career in office or politics, because that's when we start to see a slippery slope to changing the culture. And because generations change and times change, I think politicians should change as well. The question is, how much time? I personally think, I don't know. I'm not going to say it. I want you to tell me how many terms. We have one term is 4 years. And after 4 years, we run again. As council members, it's endless. We can run for the rest of our lives as long as we keep winning, right? Mayor for the city of Savannah only has 2 terms. The first term, and then that person has to run for re-election. Second term, if that person wins. The last 2 mayors have been one-term mayors, but that's Edna Jackson and Eddie DeLoach were one-term mayors. The second term, a person could run for mayor having served the first term, okay? And that's it. You have to go bye-bye. You can't run anymore. But for the individual alder persons for the districts, District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the at-large Post 1 and Post 2, they are able to run an endless number of terms. So weigh in. Tell us what you think should happen. And we're going to be meeting with this. Guess what he's calling it, Julius?
What?
A term limit task force.
Dude, that's the only word he knows, task force. See, because he's going to claim.
That's that, right? That's that. Also, we talked about how people just want to be a part of a winning team. We just want you to hold folks accountable and think of somebody outside of yourself. Think of those family members at StillHell tonight, because I promise you, I will not have another night's sleep without thinking about those families, understanding and knowing what I saw and what goes on there. I mean, you got people who are in wheelchairs above the first floor. Like, really, it's a ticking time bomb. God forbid anything happens. And we know that this is a resource that is needed in our community. Again, this is probably the most underserved population among all demographics in our city: seniors, elderly, special needs, both mental and physical, for housing in our city, because we are in a housing crisis. SCAD just snubbed Chatham Apartments that house many of them. How we let that happen, right? Oh, it's private. We couldn't do anything about it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the task force should, I mean, well, y'all task force. I got you on the damn task force. Um,
I'm not on the task force. Forget that.
I thought you said you on the task force.
I'm going to weigh in on the term limits. I ran for public office. I didn't run for a task force.
Hey, so
And,
I think
if things were governed correctly within our administration, we would be divided into committees like almost every other administration that exists in this whole United States. Yes, local councils, local commissions, they actually have committees who work on things together to get things done, special projects.
I think yeah. I think that what we that it should be 3 terms. 12 years is the most that you should be on there. Is 12 years.
Okay.
You shouldn't be on there longer than 12 years. Go do something else or move up. After 12 years, if you didn't make your mark in your 12 years, to go on and do something bigger and better. Some people will tell you that term limits is the ballot box, and that if
Right.
you want a person out, then just vote them out. But I think that there should be term limits so that people can move on and other people can get a chance to serve. Um, but and then when you all do it, I guess you all, like we do it here. We got staggered elections,
Yeah, that's
and
another question. In tandem to the term limits, one of the questions are: should we engage in staggered terms? What's your thoughts there?
I think so. That'll be great also, so everybody won't have to run at the same time. You got 1, 3, and 5, 1, 3, 5, and all the all the position post one. 1, 3, 5, and post one at large, and the mayor can run with them, and then 2, 4, and 6 can run the next
It
time.
would it be a special election or with another regular term?
Now I don't think it'll be another. It'll only be 2 years, right?
Yeah, my only concern would be that people, voters, the electorate would lose the continuity. Continuity would be lost, in that they would get out of the rhythm of a regular voting cycle. Like it seems to me that that would cause it to have people engaging in voting uh, requests too often. I don't know.
Well, a lot of places are already staggered. Like Tanya says, the school board is staggered.
Okay.
Port Whitworth is staggered. Garden City is staggered.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think that it all needs to be so that you can have they can all it all be every 2 years anyway, because every 2 years somebody will be up.
Hmm.
Every 2 years somebody will be up, and 3 terms is it. Then the mayor, like you said, if the mayor runs 2 terms, he can leave and come back and run again.
Uh,
I think
yes,
so.
but I think there has to be a certain amount of time, and it may be one term, or it may be one term that they could return after one term or
Oh,
two.
it is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll have a don't
Body
quote me
is
on that.
staggered.
I did not read anything in our charter related to that I remember. I should say.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I'll look
we need to get on top of that because it's a lot of stuff that needs to be um, done. It's a lot of people waiting to serve, but they don't want to get. You got these career politicians. Van was there for 16 years. Tony Thomas was there for 20 years. You know, and yeah, some of these. Tony Thomas did his side right. You know.
Okay, so Betty Jones says that Mayor Adams came back to run after he was mayor, so that's possible.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Let's
So,
let's look at some of the comments. Go ahead,
right.
finish your comment there, and I'm
No,
going to read some of these comments.
go ahead.
Okay, so we have John McMaster says SCAD killed 232 affordable apartments at Chatham Apartments and then built 23 units. Math doesn't work. Math doesn't work. Sandwiches don't count, SCAD. He says Davis must go. Miss Jones says, do you remember the telegram? If it was still in print, we would have known much of what is going on in the city. They should be glad we don't have that. So that reminds me, Miss Jones, who is a part of our 5th District Coalition and one of our intrepid leaders in our community. I was saying earlier, I got sidetracked, Julia, somehow, how the media plays a pervasive role in how well we do as a community and how bad we do as a community with their reporting. As a result of their lack of interest in these real life, real time human interest, life and death issues, people don't know. They don't get it. Very few people have heard about what's going on at StillHell because it has not been widely reported. But as I stated, if something was to go down interpersonally at City Hall, they would be all over it. Now, I would imagine that this issue related to the fire and the lack of compassion that's being demonstrated at StillHell is far more important than an ethics complaint for cursing, right? Would you agree?
Way more important.
And that's why ATR, that's why Better Savannah, that's why these local social media platforms is so important. And you all play a very vital role. And you are doing this without any resources. You are doing this without a steady paycheck. And we thank you. If it were not for you, if it was not for this platform, if it was not for the platform of Better Savannah, we would not have a leg to stand on. And so we are grateful to you for your unbiased reporting. We are grateful to you for holding us accountable. We have not always agreed. There are issues that you and I don't agree on right now today, Mr. Hall, but we treat each other with dignity and respect. We part ways peacefully, and we are still professionals. But unfortunately, in this town, if you are not a part of the establishment, if you are not a part of moving the agenda of the establishment, their whole goal is to sully you, to discredit you, and to cast dispersion of your worth in the public eye. We cannot compete with the airwaves of our television stations or the amount of or the amount of ink and paper owned by our brick and mortar paper establishment. But what we can do is we can rely on you, John McMasters, Chuck Fagan, Jay Jones, Dr. Amir Toure, and so many others I'm probably missing right now. We can rely on you to not carry our water, but to carry the water of the people, to be the voice for the people. So we want to thank you for all of your dedication and support, and for putting up with me who don't do this whole thing
Always
very
late.
well.
Yeah, we got a bunch of fighters out there. You got there's so many that I know we like you said, you're gonna forget some. You got Melinda Gwen Thornton out there. You got Jerome Irvin out there.
Yeah.
You got people that are fighting with us. You got Deidre Grimm. Tara Scott Brown. You got people who fight with you, elected officials, who are there for you all, but we need everybody to come in and be on the side of you and bring up the rear also. And that's what we're going to be calling for. We have the power, and we're not going to let anybody. We're going to make a statement. You believe that, and it's going to be a bold statement, and it's going to happen real soon in about 24 months. And y'all be prepared for it because it's going to happen. And we are making promises, and we ain't saying nothing we can't back up.
Well, I know you and Mr. McMasters are planning for a big announcement tomorrow, and I'm just happy to be breaking it here tonight. So tune in to Better Savannah. Is it tomorrow or is it Thursday?
Going to be Thursday. If we don't do it Thursday, John and I have to talk. We're going to see whether we can get. If it's not Thursday, it's going to be next Thursday. We're going to try to make it a joint venture where we can have everybody watching
everybody have their input. We're going to invite all of y'all on if y'all want to come on to address these issues. We want you all on to
Well, I want to be. I want to be among the first guests with Alderwoman Blakely and Bernetta Lanier, and we're going to give y'all the scoop on the Fairgrounds project.
Okay, that'd be great.
And that
I'm
whole
going to
vote.
send an invitation to the mayor and to the rest of them also. I'm going to send it to them. They want to come on here and address the public, then fine. See, they think that we're not um, heavy enough. They think that, we're irrelevant, but it's ATR. All
Mhm.
things are relevant.
Right.
So we're going to see and show you that we are very much relevant,
Hmm.
and because they want to ignore us, but we're going to show you you do wrong by ignoring us.
Right. And so we're going to see what all things relevant and better in Savannah looks like. We have another comment here from Jen Lynn. She says she has camera footage, paperwork, and more to prove they don't care and lie about almost everything at the Housing Authority. Better Savannah is with us. Thank you so much. John McMasters also says corrupt through and through. Mr. Ivan Cohen, one of my favorites and
That's my
faithful
boy.
loyal watchers, and he tells me I need to be on even when I'm not on. So
And
he doesn't
and
like
and I
he
know
doesn't
it's
like reruns.
a lot of people, and I'm on I know I can call some people's name because I know they support this platform monthly or whenever they can, quarterly. You got Ivan Cohen, you got Melinda Gwenthorne, you got Pastor Smalls, you got Terrell, um, um, not Terrell Dickinson. What's the other? My girl, she always on your watching. Um,
Natalie Smith Leggett.
Yeah, Natalie. We got people that support us financially, somewhat. I mean, the
Thank
bills
you.
are high, but we got those people help with everything that we're doing here. And we're gonna have a bunch of changes coming in the next 30 days. Hopefully, we'll have it all meshed out. I've been running for mayor, but now that I'm not, I'll have a lot of free time after tomorrow to get these things done. I've been promising it since August, but it is coming. We got a bunch of changes, and we're going to show y'all why ATR is relevant and the new things that we'll be doing.
Well, I don't know what costs are associated with your your media outfit. I'm just grateful that you have extended to me at no cost this platform and really appreciate it as a part of my public service to the community. And so, again, we appreciate you. Natalie says it makes no sense that she has a job and a board obviously needs a full overhaul. Um, Dr. Leonard Small is with us tonight. He says the chairman of the Housing Authority recused himself from voting on Yamacraw because he said he might have a future investment in the property. Interesting. This gets deeper and deeper. Rebecca Rose says, look who sits on all the boards. And this, of course, is an American Disabilities Act issue. So listen, we have people, and we have very smart people who don't have a whole bunch of time, but they have a whole bunch of heart. They are with us on this. They have shepherded us across the line with the weeping time, and I think they will be with us here on StillHell. So you all look for more information to come in terms of how you can get involved, who you can call. But off the top of my head right now, Ossoff and Warnock comes to mind.
Mm.
Good night, Savannah. I love you.
Good night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night.